Hello, my name is DC. I'll be giving a match analysis for Russia versus Belarus. So let's get into this here. Already, before we can start, I'm sure you have noticed this very big gap. Now, this is way too much. I think he is in a position he can drop back just to cover for the meanwhile so that everyone gets back in shape. These two here are too close to each other. I'm sure if he was that's why he could go here for the meanwhile so that he gets back there or somewhere within this region and then he can set himself so that everything gets better. But let's see what happens. Let me just play through. Ball is played immediately into that space, and since he moves, this guy here, he moved from here to here, so which means the space has just moved because the space was here, and then now it's moved, and then now the space has gone here. Number 3 does what he can. He runs also into that space. And then I think he goes down way too early. He could probably hold him up, give him a little shoulder barge. Unfortunately, he doesn't. Goes down. Smart flick. A lovely, lovely flick. And one thing about this match is that the commentator he reminds me of the AC Milan commentator. The AC Milan commentator, he loves his team. The Russian commentator in this match too, he also loves his team. He was shouting. He was shouting, just like the AC Milan commentator. You know what? I'd rather have an energetic commentator than have one of those boring ones. It makes it makes for a great watch. But this is too much space. One of these two could have definitely pushed here just to close off that gap and prevent, even the player thinking of this pass because there'll be someone. He moves. Unfortunately, he moves to the space, not really the player, not in a position to actually go. I think if he actually stays where he is, he probably has a better chance of preventing this goal because the player wouldn't have played that flick. If he stayed, he would have probably intercepted that flick, but you would never know what someone is trying to do. Yeah, I don't know if that's a flick or just leaves it, but still, that's a brilliant piece of play. He chips it in. Simple. Yeah, then you see he tries, but no, just not possible. Keeper goes down a bit too early, and yeah, it just leads to a goal. But brilliant build up. Alright, so here's the thing. Backing off, very much understandable because this is probably about like 30 yards. Yeah, probably like 30 yards away, and then he's trying to hit it into the goal, so that's understandable why there's not that much pressure. But one thing people seem to forget, likelihood of scoring from here into the goal is very, very low. Likelihood of scoring from a rebound in this somewhat area here is very, very high. You're much more likely to score from a rebound from a long shot in this region than you are from the long shot, but still. So it means immediately this shot has been taken, you have to make sure that there's no one lurking around here that will be able to pick up the ball or, shoot it immediately. It goes down and he's in between these two. He has just bypassed the defense. Once again, someone has moved in between two defenders, unmarked. And then, simple goal. Scored off the rebound. The defenders should have been more aware, that's all I could say. Yeah, they just should have been more aware. Otherwise, let's head on to the next chance of the match. Alright, so he goes sliding in, sliding. Now, I don't know if this was a misplaced pass or yeah, it was a misplaced pass. He goes in sliding, but once he does that, either he comes out with the ball or else he's left his team very, very, very light at the back. Yeah, that's what happens. I can understand why he's here because at that point, Russia had the ball, they were in possession. You're not really worried about marking someone if you have the ball. Alright, so as we push it through, plays immediately into the center. Now, this is where here the Belarus player could have a little more patience because he immediately starts running. He could have, I don't know, probably curved his run a bit. Just move to the side because he knows that this ball will be played straight through. So probably could have curved his run, probably could have slowed down a bit, but he's rushed. And then it's so obvious he's offside, but that's a good finish. That is a good 1v1 to finish. That's all I could say. So here, sorry, just pause it at the. It's the timing where you click it and then it's a bit slow to yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. So you see, as he receives the ball here, if he plays it first time, golden, golden. But now he has to take a touch. Here he's somewhat onside, and then he takes another touch, and then boom, he's offside. So that's the difference between someone that's, I could say, I don't want to disrespect any of the players, but maybe someone that has more close control, or someone that's more with slightly more technical ability, because in one touch this ball could have gone. He could have actually taken two touches, one to set himself up and the other one to make the pass, and then that ball he would have still been onside. But immediately he takes that third touch, the Russian players have already played that offside trap, and then that chance has gone. So just it's a combination of two things. Yes, he's early to run, but he could also have played the ball quicker. One touch he would have gone, even in two touches he would have gone. That third touch, it just you know gets rid of the chance because he is so offside, so offside. All right, this leads to a goal. Unfortunately, it just starts from here. It doesn't show like if it's a cross, if it's a pass. Yeah. All right, so Belarus are in possession of the ball, and then he decides to pass it through the center when he could have easily passed it to him, because he has a much more how can I say unobstructed view of the pitch, because here no one's pressuring him. He has all the time, and here no one's pressuring him. He can see in front. He can pass it back to his keeper. He is the best option in this case. Where he's passing it to, there is a lot of traffic, and then he's under pressure. So it's most likely he might make a terrible pass, or a bad pass. And he does that. The pass goes straight back to the Russian players, and then if you can look at it, the Belarus players, they're somewhat in a good position to, do something about it. But I like the patience here, doesn't try to cross it, just waits and bides his time. And then he just takes advantage of the fact no one is willing to pressure him. They just watch him. I mean, if someone goes in between two players and it's just too easy. In other teams, immediately you try to go in between two players, the gap that was like this, it becomes like this, and they make sure to shoulder check you, so that it's not a foul. They're so good at doing that. So yeah, like this, and then pass is played in between. These two just watch someone move in between. Move in front of them to score the goal. Keeper doesn't really have much of a chance, and just like that, because someone tried to play the ball, because you could have actually kicked it out. Would have been better if he kicked it out, because as you can see here, this gap is appearing. This player here, his main job is to drag someone, is to keep him occupied, and unfortunately, he just unmarked. And it's one of those, it's off a transition. You can understand that, because number 3, he's looking at 21, he's looking, but he probably was more willing to go and stand on the line than actually follow someone. I actually used to think that it's better to stand on the line, but if you stand on the line, you give the person time to shoot. So you're better off just closing that player down so that you prevent him taking the shot in the first place. Thanks, Cash. So here, nothing much you could do. It's too simple goal. Boom. Alright, let's head on to the next chance of the game. Somewhere around here. 3-0 at this point. Now this is where you just put your you as yourself, you play your team into problems. That's all I can say. You play yourself into a problem, a very big one. He has the ball. They're in the corner. They're being pressured. And it's one of those things whereby they keep playing it in and around this area, in which this area is congested. If you could take a turn, maybe deceive the oncoming pressing player, take a turn, probably pass it back to the keeper so the keeper can kick it out, no problem. Or maybe if you can take a turn, maybe then pass it here, it would be very good. But now the problem is that he does not seem to be able to do that, and there's no problem. But if you're being forced to do something you're not comfortable with, it usually leads to mistakes. And also, even just analyzing that this is not the time to be playing the ball out the back. Because what he does here, again, after playing the pass, you're supposed to move back a bit so that you create space for that pass to be played into you, and so that you can do something with it. Not to the situation whereby you're always just passing in between. You're supposed to pass, because in this situation, you're supposed to pass and immediately run here so that he could probably play it to his keeper, because at this point the keeper is the only safe option. But instead he passes it to his teammate, knowing there are two players that are pressuring them, and then puts him in even more problems. He does. And on top of that, he even tries to block him off so that that pass can be played. And then it just leads to this. I mean, they're playing out from the back when they shouldn't, and then it's one of those, they're doing it for the sake of doing it. There's no actual structure. They're just passing it for the sake of passing. He tries to play to his keeper. It gets intercepted. A nice little flick. And then open goal. No, they've just played themselves into problems here. They really have. They really have played themselves into problems. Yeah, and he's happy. I think he scored 4 goals in this match. I'm not sure. I don't know. I think it's the one where he scored 4 goals. Anyway, because look at this. Immediately you pass it, you're supposed to move away, create space so that you can receive the ball. Instead, you decide to move, to stay where you are, and then make the space even smaller for him to try and play out the pass. And unfortunately, even the pass that he plays doesn't have a lot of power. I understand he's playing it to his keeper, but doesn't have enough power to reach the keeper, and just that little flick, goal. Lovely, lovely goal. But yeah, this is just playing yourself into problems. Feel sorry for the keeper, because there's no way he could have prevented that from happening. No way at all. Alright, so this is one of those whereby they actually, actually thought they missed out on a chance, but instead they created a better chance. So here, this is where, like, even here, ball could probably be played like that, so that it's in this area, because there is someone running towards the ball here. But what I do like is like how they don't like try and force it, because even here the ball could still be played. He sees him. Pass could be made in between here, in between these two players here. It could be a flick ball that goes up top, like that. But no, he decides to keep the ball. He decides to keep possession. And look at that bit of skill there. Boom, boom, gets past his man, and then he flicks it to him, number 22. He's in the space. He takes advantage of the space, because he knows this guy is looking at the ball. He is also trying to track back, and he knows that he's free and open. What I do like here is how they make this chance. Oh, sorry, they didn't play it. It was actually played into him, and since both of them are trying to get the ball, no one eventually gets the ball, because he expects him to put his foot in. He expects him to put his foot in, and in the end, no one would put their foot in. And the Belarus player, very smart. He's able to see. He sees him, and that's a nice flick there, and that's a nice goal. It's a really well worked goal. And this is what football is supposed to be about. There was this chance where it could have been played first time, but instead they said no, we're still going to create a chance. It's just going to be much more closer to the goal. Because you see that he makes that run, it's because everyone continues running. No one stays stagnant. They continue. Oh, so he does get a touch. Sorry, I thought he didn't. He gets a touch, but unfortunately, this is a brilliant piece of skill. Flick, it goes in between the player's legs, and then here he's in front of him. He holds the ball up well, and then he slots it into the back of the net. That's a good chance, because they decided they were going to make a better chance closer to goal, and in a position where there's less pressure on the man. Not really less pressure, but it's one of those, it becomes instinctive, because if he played that ball first time to that other player, he would have to run, then decide, should I go in this post, should I chip him, should I go around? And that decision making creates problems. Whilst if you create a chance like this, whereby you just know that the only thing, I have to shoot this quick, it becomes more instinctive and usually leads to a better chance. It's just football. And yeah, so this is a chance Belarus should have scored. If they scored this, it changes the whole game. It really does. Because if he plays it into him, And then what I do, like here, flick, I don't know, it cuts in. And then here are so many options. He could play it, oh sorry, this is the wrong one. He could play it into him, because at this point he is looking at the goal. He's at the best angle to choose where he can shoot. He can play it into him, he can shoot across or play it back into him, because this player is probably going to pressure him to the ball. And then he does choose the best option, but does not execute it well, because he cuts in, and then if that's on target, that's a goal, because the keeper was planted. Because as you see here, the keeper is preparing. He takes a step back. He's trying to position himself to where he can dive to either post. And at that point, he could have scored. If it was on target, he could have scored. The keeper would not have dived. He chose the best option, just the wrong execution. And trust me, if that's 4-2, that changes the game. It inspires you more. At this point, they know the game is done. But yeah, he wanted that ball. I think it's one of those score. If you don't pass, and he's right. If you don't pass to someone, the expectation is that you will score. Otherwise, that's been my match analysis of Russia versus Belarus. Really interesting game, lots of goals, and interesting to see. But Belarus really have to stop playing themselves into problem. And yeah, that's been it. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next match analysis.